She was a waitress nobody looked at twice. She spoke 7 languages, and nobody knew. Tonight she walked up to the most dangerous man at table 7 and told a billionaire mafia boss that his translator had been lying to his face. It cost her her job. It cost her everything. And now someone is following her home in the dark. Stay with me, because what happens on the street tonight changes absolutely everything. She didn't go to Richard Hale. She didn't go to Ethan Voss. She walked directly to Kim Jae-won. She moved the way she always moved through that dining room, unhurried, quiet, purposeful, like a woman who belonged exactly where she was going. She approached his side of the table and leaned forward slightly, her voice pitched low enough that it didn't carry beyond the 4 of them. "Hi, Mr. Kim." "Whoa, I really apologize for the interruption. I am aware this is not my place." Every eye at the table turned to her. Richard Hale's expression moved from surprise to irritation in about half a second. Ethan Voss went very still, the particular stillness of someone who has just been caught and is rapidly working out their next move. Jae-won simply looked at her. His face gave nothing away, not annoyance, not curiosity, nothing she could read, but he didn't raise a hand. He didn't look away. He just waited, with the patience of a man who had learned that the most interesting things in any room almost always come from the direction nobody was watching. "Your translator has not accurately conveyed a single concern Mr. Becker has raised in the last 20 minutes, Zara said. She kept her eyes on Jae-won. She kept her voice steady. "The German lawyer has objected to 2 specific things in this contract. First, Clause 7, asset reversion upon third-party default. Mr. Becker's exact words were that it creates unacceptable legal risk for the primary investor and that he cannot in good conscience recommend signing until it is amended. Second, the profit split. Mr. Becker has confirmed that the contract reads 60-40 in Mr. Hale's favor despite a 50-50 agreement in principle. Your translator told you he was satisfied with the timeline." The silence that followed had weight to it. Richard Hale leaned back slowly in his chair. "She is a waitress." "Clause 7, Zara said again, still looking at Jae-won, still calm. "Mr. Becker's exact words were that he cannot in good conscience recommend signing until it is amended. Your translator told you he was satisfied with the timeline." Franz Becker had gone completely still. He was watching Zara with an expression she recognized immediately, the stunned relief of a man who has been shouting into an empty room and has just discovered the room was never empty at all. He spoke in German. Direct and clear. She is correct. Every single word she has said is accurate. Zara translated it before anyone asked her to. He says, "I am correct." Every word. Jae-won had not moved, had not looked away from her face. He turned his head slowly toward Ethan Voss. He didn't say a word. He didn't need to. Ethan opened his mouth, looked at Jae-won's face, and closed it again. "Get out," Richard Hale said. But he wasn't looking at Zara when he said it. He was looking at Ethan. Might and every drop of easy confidence he had walked into that room with was completely gone. Min opened the door. Ethan Voss picked up his jacket and left without another word. The door closed behind him with a soft, quiet click that somehow sounded louder than a slam. And in the silence that followed, Jae-won looked down at the contract on the table. Then he looked at Richard Hale with an expression so quiet and so devastating that Hale actually shifted in his seat. Zara took a step back. Her job here was done. More than done. She turned and walked out of the private dining room. Norman Price was waiting for her on the other side of the frosted glass. In 6 months of working at the Veridan, Zara had never once seen him sweat. He was sweating now. "My office," he said quietly. "Now." She followed him through the main dining floor and past the candlelit tables and the soft music and the wealthy, unbothered people cutting into their appetizers and into the small manager's office behind the host stand. He closed the door, turned to face her. "Do you have any idea?" he said, and then stopped, pressed his fingers to his temple. Started again. "Do you have any idea who is sitting at table 7 right now?" "A man being defrauded," Zara said. Norman stared at her. "I have worked 22 years in New York hospitality. 22 years. And I have never, not once, had a staff member walk into a private dining engagement and insert themselves into a conversation between guests." He straightened his jacket. His hands were not entirely steady. "You are an excellent waitress, Zara. I want you to know I mean that sincerely, but I cannot. I have no choice." "I know," she said. But he blinked. I know. You have to let me go. I understand." He looked at her for a long moment. "I'm sorry," he said, and she believed him. She nodded once and went to collect her things. Kezia intercepted her at the staff lockers, wide-eyed and buzzing with the kind of energy that only someone who has just witnessed something extraordinary carries around with them. "Zara, what happened in there?" Ethan Voss just walked out looking like he'd seen a ghost, and Richard Hale hasn't moved, and everyone is saying, "I'm going home, Kezia." Zara hugged her quickly and genuinely, the kind of hug you give someone when you are not sure when you will see them again. Then she picked up her bag and walked out. The New York night received her the way it always did. Loud, indifferent, alive. Lexington Avenue hummed with Friday night energy. Music drifting from somewhere down the block. Headlights sweeping past. The city doing exactly what the city always does, completely unbothered by the fact that Zara Okwonkwo had just walked out of the best-paying job she'd had in 3 years, with nothing lined up and a hospital bill waiting at home. She started walking toward the subway. She didn't notice the man following her until she turned onto the second block. She caught him only because of a reflection in a darkened shop window. A tall figure keeping pace about 20 feet behind her. Not rushing, not slowing, just following. She turned left at the corner instead of right, took the long way. He followed. Her pulse quickened, but she kept her stride even. Then a second figure stepped out of a building entrance ahead of her and her stomach dropped completely. She stopped walking. The two men closed the distance. Unhurried, almost casual, which was somehow more frightening than if they had rushed. The one in front reached into his jacket, and then 2 other men appeared from nowhere. That was the only way Zara could describe it later. Nowhere. One moment, the street held 4 people, and the next it held 6. The 2 new arrivals moved with a quiet, precise efficiency that turned everything completely upside down in under 30 seconds. No weapons, no shouting, just movement, clean and absolute. And then the 2 men who had been following her were gone. Redirected, removed. Zara stood on the sidewalk, breathing harder than she wanted to admit. On the ground where the first man had been standing sat a single white business card facing down. She picked it up slowly and turned it over. Just a number, no name. The cardstock was heavy and expensive and told her everything she needed to know about who it belonged to. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She looked at the screen for 3 full seconds before she answered. "Miss Okwonkwo." The voice was calm, Korean accented English, measured and unhurried, like a man who had decided exactly what he wanted to say before he picked up the phone. "Are you hurt?" She exhaled slowly. "No." "Good." A pause, the kind that has real weight to it. "Those men work for Marcus Cole, Richard Hale's vice president, the man who put tonight's arrangement together. He identified you as someone who needed to be discouraged from speaking further about what you heard." Another pause. "He will not have that opportunity again." Zara looked at the card in her hand. "You had people watching me." "I had people nearby," he said. The difference was subtle but deliberate. "Is there a difference?" "Yes," he said simply. "There is." She pressed her lips together. The New York night hummed around her. "There is a Korean restaurant in Flushing," he said. "Seoul Ganjang. You will not find it on any map. Be there tomorrow evening at 7. A pause. "Please." That last word landed differently than everything before it, like it cost him something to say it, like it wasn't a word he used often, and he wanted her to know that. "I'll think about it," she said. She hung up before he could respond. She went to see her mother. Gloria Okwonkwo was awake when Zara arrived at NYU Langone, propped up against her pillows, watching a Nollywood film on her tablet with the volume barely above a whisper. When she looked up the moment Zara walked through the door and read her daughter's face, the way she had been reading it for 29 years, completely, accurately, and without needing a single word of explanation. She patted the edge of the bed. Zara sat down and told her everything. Gloria listened without interrupting. She had perfected that skill, raising a daughter who needed to be heard far more than she needed to be advised. When Zara finished talking, the room was quiet except for the soft hum of medical equipment and the muted Nollywood dialogue drifting from the tablet. Gloria was silent for a moment. Then she said, "Who sent the men to protect you?" Zara looked at her hands. "The man from the restaurant, the dangerous one." A pause. "Yes." Gloria nodded slowly, like this confirmed something she had already worked out for herself. "And are you going to meet him tomorrow?" Zara looked at the business card still in her hand, turned it over, turned it back. I don't know yet. Gloria looked at her daughter for a long moment. Then she picked up her tablet, turned the volume up just slightly, and said, very calmly and very deliberately, yes, you do. 3 words from a mother who has never once been wrong about her daughter. Yes, you do. Not maybe, not think about it. Yes, you do. There is a restaurant with no address, a man powerful enough to make restaurant managers sweat. And he stood up when she walked in. A man like that, standing for her. And what he is about to say, across that table, will change the entire direction of Zara Okonkwo's life forever. Episode 3 is already up. Do not sleep on it even for 1 second. And drop a comment right now. Would you walk through that door knowing what she knows? Yes or no? I want to see your answer below.